get in order before you apply, and along with a few documentations like SOP, resume, and LORs. We will also be talking about university shortlisting and portfolio website building. And a very important part of today's webinar will be diving into how to build your research profile. Okay, so for masters and PhD, you will need to build your research profile, and I will take you through how you can do that. Okay, so during any point in the webinar, if you feel like you're missing out on something and you're not able to catch up, or you would like to revisit whatever I was just explaining, or revisit the slides, we will be uploading the recording of this webinar on our YouTube channel, so you can go there and have a look. And we are muting all of you, so whatever questions you have, you can keep posting them in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them. Okay, so if today is your first Videsh's webinar, I would like to give you a brief insight into what Videsh is and what our mission is. Okay, so basically Videsh was founded by three co-founders, Dr. Raj, Dr. Rajat, and Dr. Sridhar. So these are award-winning scientists and researchers from IIT Madras, Purdue University, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the US. Okay, so when they were pursuing their PhD in the US, they've lived there for 5 years. They realized that they did not get any professional guidance or professional mentorship at the time of their applications. Okay, all they had was some advice from their seniors here and there, and a few other college peers to look at their applications. Okay, so with this aim, they came to India. They founded Videsh, and our sole aim now is to help students and working professionals like yourselves to land your dream universities. Okay, and all three of them are award-winning scientists and researchers from the US. Okay, so they have won several accolades during their time there, and even during their time here at the IIT Madras. So they know what is needed and what is required to get into these top universities. Okay, so with this aim, sole aim, Videsh was founded, and this is all about our organization. Today's agenda is going to be about basics of grad school application. We will then be talking a little bit about university shortlisting. Then we will be diving into the documentation part of the application, that is the SOP, LORs, and the resume. So these three documents are very, very important when you are thinking of applying either for your master's or PhD. And then we will talk about exams. So a few exams that you will need to give that need to be a part of your application. And then we will come to a very important part of today's webinar, that is the importance of research profile. So research is highly underrated, and it is very, very important to have a research profile, whether you're applying for your master's or your PhD. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then at the end, we will tell you how Videsh and our long-term mentorship program can help you to land your dream university, and how we are tying all of these factors mentioned in today's agendas together to land your dream university. If time permits, at the end, we will also be taking a few question and answers. So this is all about today's agenda. Let's get started. So the basics of grad school applications. Okay, so if you're applying for masters, it takes 2 years to complete your masters. It can also be completed within 1.5 years if you fast forward your credits. And then, but then again, it is difficult to get funding when you are applying to masters. This is now a general rule of thumb, but then it's not impossible. However, it is difficult to get funding. Okay, but PhDs, on the other hand, require a lot of time and commitment on your part. So if you're applying for PhDs in the US, it takes about 4 to 6 years to complete, to graduate, and it takes about a little less in Europe if you're applying for PhD. Now, PhDs generally are funded either by research assistantships or fellowships. So you might get a good stipend also. So there's a good chance that most of the PhDs are funded, and you might either receive a fellowship or a research assistantship before or when you join the PhD. Okay, so what are the basic requirements of your grad school applications? You will need a GPA. So whether it is a good GPA or not so good GPA, I will also come in, later slides. I'll tell you how you can offset if your GPA is not so good. And then yes, GPA. After that, you will need a good resume, SOP, LORs, 3 LORs. So, you will need at least 3 letters of recommendation. I will come to that part later on. You will need a very strong research profile if you want to be admitted into top tier universities. So these universities are looking at students who have a stellar profile, okay, and a research profile plays a big role in that part, okay. So it's very important to have your research profile. It's also important to have good scores in the exams also, like TOEFL, IELTS. I've mentioned GRE here, but then most of the universities have waived off GRE in the US universities at least. So, before you give your GREs, you should, understand, and you should figure out which university you want to apply to, and then consider if you want to give your GRE or not. Okay, I'll talk about deadlines also. So if you decide to apply for fall of next year, the deadlines will be in December of this year, okay. And if you are thinking about applying to spring, the deadline will be June to July, okay. So that is the considerable deadline. And I would suggest you, if you're not very sure on when to apply, which cohort to apply, you should go ahead and apply for the fall cohort, because the fall cohorts have a larger size, and they almost coincide with the time your summer internships start, and most of the programs have fall cohorts, okay. So when you will go to the university website and you will look at the programs, you will see that very few programs have spring cohorts. So unless you have a specific reason to apply for spring, you should opt for fall. Then, like funding, like I said, for masters, it's a bit difficult. And even if it's difficult, I would suggest you to apply for scholarships once you get into universities of your choice. So start thinking about scholarships also that you can apply to when you get admits from universities, okay. So that is a good possibility of getting funding from those scholarships also. And then, like I said, fellowships, RAs and TAs are good ways to get funding when you're applying for your PhD. For masters, teaching assistantship is common. So teaching assistantship is, you have to assist the professors when you are on campus, and that basically includes you have to give a few lectures, grade a few assignments. So it generally coincides with the master's program, okay. And that generally happens when you go to the university, and then you meet the professors and they give you teaching assistantships. So that is a general overview about the funding that you need to know, okay. The next thing we are going to talk about is the university shortlisting. Okay, so if we are at the beginning of May now, and if you have not already begun to shortlist your universities for fall of next year, I suggest now would be a very good time to start shortlisting your universities. Okay, I'll walk you through a process of how the university shortlisting part needs to be done. Okay, so it's a procedure that you need to follow. And first, you need to make a list of 25 to 35 universities of your choice. And I wouldn't suggest you to go by the QS university rankings of the university, okay? Rather, it is very important to look at the program rankings when you're applying for universities and when you're shortlisting universities, okay? So look at the QS university rankings of the program and not the universities, okay? And whenever you're looking at a university, look at the program, if that program is being offered in that particular university, okay? So for example, if you are applying for masters, let's say in a particular university, check out the program if that university has masters in that particular program. All right, so it is very important for you to do that. And then I would suggest you make this Excel sheet. So we encourage our students to make an Excel sheet where on the leftmost column you have the name of the university, and from the column 2, 3 onwards there are all the details mentioned of the particular university. Now I would say you should leave column 2 blank, because that we are going to fill at the very end. But from column 3, start filling all the information that is readily available on the program website and the university website. So deadlines are available, application deadlines are readily available. You should enter that when you are making this master sheet. Letters of recommendation, some universities require 2, some universities require 3, but our suggestion is you should have 3 letters of recommendation documentation ready, because that is what most universities take. Now, GRE also, it's very important for you. Like I mentioned, it's optional and waived off in most of the universities. So a column having a GRE optional or required is also very, very important. And GPA. So some universities have mentioned a minimum of GPA requirement in their programs. So make sure you go to the university and you go to the website and you check that out. If no information is mentioned, leave it blank. Okay. So in most universities, there are TOEFL cutoffs, and there is QS university ranking also. And then, the last and the second last column, I would say that is basically, it pertains to, the admissions link that is there. And then I would also suggest you to add another column which mentions the research part of that particular university. I'll come to that part later on. But then for the time being, I would suggest you to start preparing this particular Excel sheet having all the details. And then, you can modify the Excel sheet from here onwards. Now, column 2, I think whenever you're making this big list of 25 to 35 universities, what you should do is, this list is going to boil down to 9 or 10 universities by easy, medium, hard rule. Okay, so what we encourage students is, we ask them to pick universities by a 3x3 rule. So we pick three easy universities, 3 medium, and 3 dream universities or hard to get universities. So you have to make sure that your selection of universities is a mixture of easy, medium, and dream universities, right? So that is about the university shortlisting. Now we are moving to the documentation part of the grad school applications. The first and the foremost important document in the grad school applications is your SOP. Okay, so the statement of purpose is basically, it defines who you are and what your ambition is, and it's a great insight into the admissions committee of what kind of a student you are and what your vision is. Okay, so instead of just asking students to write a particular essay of defining themselves and their vision, it can get a bit overwhelming. So for your ease of understanding, we have divided the SOP into 4 parts, and we suggest the students to write their SOPs based on these 4 parts. Okay, so the first part is the thread, second part is the hook, the third part is the supporting cast, and the fourth part is casting the net. Now I will take you through each of these parts, and what you should do is, now we are, like I said, in the month of May, you should start drafting your SOP also based on these 4 parts. Okay, so this is a very structured way of writing your statement of purpose. So first of all, what is a thread? So thread is basically your vision, a vision which holds together your statement of purpose. What vision you have in mind, and with what vision are you thinking of applying to this particular university? Okay, so it is basically your vision that binds the entire SOP together. Now, here in my slide, I have shown you Dr. Raj's SOP. Now, his SOP had a vision, a thread, that he wanted to create an impact through the field of fluid mechanics. Okay, so this was his thread, and this is what he wanted to convey to the admissions committee when he wanted them to read their SOP, read his SOP. Okay, so what he has written in every part, in every paragraph of his statement of purpose, he mentions his vision that he wants to create an impact through the field of fluid mechanics. Now, this is his vision, and it's fine, if at some point you feel that this vision is getting repeated, but it's fine as long as you're putting it in different words. Okay, don't repeat same sentences, but it's fine if you feel that there is a repetition of the thread, because it might feel like that sometimes, but it's fine, it's completely fine, right? So basically, just for you to remember, the thread is basically the vision of your SOP. The second part of your SOP is the hook. The hook is basically your strength. So any journal, any conference publication, any research paper, any prestigious internship, fellowship that you've done, anything basically that you're proud of is your hook. Okay, and you have to make sure that you are mentioning this hook in the first or the second paragraph of your SOP. Okay, because this is something that you want the admissions committee to know, and this is something that you want their attention to catch. Okay, so mention the hook in the first or the second paragraph, and start writing the SOP from now. Start identifying your hooks from now itself. Okay, so it becomes very easy for you then to expand that SOP. Okay, so now just to give you an example, this is again Dr. Raj's SOP, and I have mentioned the hook here. Like, see, look how he has written there. He has written that he has presented a particular paper in the European Fluid Mechanics Conference in 2016 in Spain. Okay, so this is something that he is proud of and he wants to highlight in his resume, in his SOP. Okay, so now see how the hook is coherent with his thread. Okay, so he mentions earlier in his thread that the vision is to create an impact through fluid mechanics, and now he is also mentioning how he plans to achieve that. So he has already attended a conference in the European Fluid Mechanics, a conference in Spain. Okay, so he is making sure that his head, a thread, and hook are being tied together. Okay, so that is how, you know, you have to make sure that your SOP is being tied together, and you mention the hook that aligns well with your thread, right? So the third part is the supporting cast. Okay, so supporting cast is basically all the everything that you've done up till now that you're extremely proud of, but then it is not necessarily related to the field of study that you're applying to. Now the hook, like I said, I mentioned Dr. Raj SOP. He had written that he had presented in a conference in Spain in fluid mechanics, so that was his hook. But then supporting cast can be something like he had done an internship in solar panels in a very prestigious firm, ITC. Okay, so that this was something that he was proud of, but then this is not related to fluid mechanics in any way. Okay, so but he still wanted to mention that in his SOP. So like I said, he wanted to mention it, he's proud of it, but it is the supporting cast. Okay, it is not related to the field that he's applying to. So you can see that he has mentioned that he had done this internship in ITC in solar panels. So make sure that whatever it is that you're proud of, but it is not directly related to the field of study you're applying to, you can still include that in your SOP, and you should include that in your SOP as the supporting cast. Okay, so start writing these pointers. You know, so what is my thread, what is my vision, what is my hook, what is my supporting cast? So start writing pointers, and then you can expand these pointers. Okay, so this is about the supporting cast. The next is casting the net. So basically, this is the fourth and last part of your statement of purpose. And this is basically where you make your final pitch to the university as to why they should admit you and why you're going to be a good candidate for them and why the university is going to be a good fit for you. Okay, so it is a two-way street, and you have to make sure that you explain beautifully how beneficial you are going to be to the university and how the university is going to benefit you. Okay, so make sure it's not very it doesn't come out like very strong, but then also make sure that you mention two sides of the coin, like the both sides that I explained. And this should be the last two paragraphs of your statement of purpose, is, you know, making the final pitch. Okay, so like I said, you know, in his final pitch, Dr. Raj has written that this particular professor is someone who he would like to work with. Now, this comes with a lot of research, okay? And he had, you know, made this SOP after researching about the research lab in that particular university, and then, you know, researching about the professor also and his work also. So this is something, you know, you can mention that you can go to the program website, you can find out about the professors, you can mention in your statement of purpose that I would like to work with the research lab of this particular professor. And that is how you can tell the university that this is how I can be beneficial to you. And then later on, you can also mention that this university is also going to be, you know, it's going to be very good for me, etc. Okay, so these two paragraphs are going to be your final pitch. So coming to the end of what the SOP comprises of, it comprises of the thread, the hook, the supporting cast, and the pitch. Okay, so these four factors constitute a very strong SOP. Okay, like I said, start writing the bullet pointed version of the SOP, and then later on you can expand it. So some do's and don'ts for your statement of purpose. Now, the master's and PhD applicants are supposed to be very serious students, and it's very important that you don't include, you know, your any kind of favorite quotes or any cheesy remarks, because that doesn't work. The admissions committee want to know who you are, and they're not interested in anything that someone else has to say. Okay, so refrain from doing that. Also, you know, like I said, if at any point you feel that there is repetition, it might happen, but it's fine. It doesn't make a difference. It's fine if you repeat a few points here and there also, it's completely fine. Again, the third part, I would sincerely ask you to not get your SOP reviewed from random people. Only get it reviewed from your seniors and the people that have been through the process if you don't have professional mentorship. Okay, so if you have not collaborated with any professional mentor, make sure that you show your SOP only to your seniors and the people who have gone through this application process. Okay, it's very important to not show it to any random people. Now we move towards letters of recommendation. Okay, so letters of recommendation basically give credibility to your entire profile, and what they are showing you is basically, 3 letters of recommendation are basically showing the admissions committee what kind of student you are and how other people are endorsing you, right? So a good letter of recommendation consists, if a good letter of recommendation is considered if it is very strong, it is credible, and if it is diverse. Okay, so what do I mean by a strong letter of resume? Okay, sorry, letter of recommendation. So basically on the left hand side, you can see a very generic language being said, like Rajat is a studious candidate who has been working in my lab for last 2 years. So this is a very generic statement. And how would an exceptional statement look like? So it would look something like this: Rajat is by far the most talented and driven student whom I have had the pleasure to mentor. Rajat spearheaded several flagship projects in my lab over the last 2 years. So this is the difference. It says the same thing, but then there is a difference in the adjectives used and the English used. Okay, so it is very important that you use good English and you use good adjectives when you are drafting the letter of recommendation. Again, when I come to the drafting of the LOR part, most professors say that they don't have time to draft LORs for you. But then again, this is a good chance to ask politely, if I can draft my own letter of recommendation, I can give it to you for review. You can review it, edit if any changes are required, and then submit it to the university. Okay, so it is good when you have that kind of control in your hands. And I would suggest you to ask politely to your professors also if you can draft your letter of recommendation, right? And that is where you can use exceptional language, obviously not too much, but then good use of adjectives and good use of English really helps, right? And the next point is diverse SOP. Okay, so what do I mean by diverse? Now, out of the 3 SOPs, it is important that the two LORs are from the academia and one LOR is coming from the internship, or if you have a work experience, from your manager. Okay, so that basically gives the admissions committee an impression that you are a student who is endorsed by academia as well and industry as well. So you're a very diverse student who is well endorsed by academia and industry. Okay, so if you can get one LOR from your research mentor or your manager and 2 LORs from academia, that is the perfect combination, and we ask students to make such a combination for their letters of recommendation, right? So this is something that is very important. And the next thing is credibility. So what gives credibility to your letter of recommendation? So if you remember, in my previous slide, I showed Dr. Raj's SOP, and in that SOP, he had written that he had attended this particular conference in Spain, fluid mechanics conference in Spain. Okay, so if any professor is endorsing that, if any professor is mentioning that in his LOR, that gives the profile credibility, right? Now, if you have done any research work, if you have done any research project, if you have any publication, if you are writing any paper, and the professor is also endorsing that gives it credibility. So this is what I mean by saying that these documents should be coherent and they should tell the same story. It's fine if you feel that there's a repetition here and there, but they should tell the same story basically, right? Now, here I have mentioned a few examples of generic and exceptional letters of recommendation. There's only a difference in the language used. Okay, so generic LOR is using a very basic language, but an exceptional LOR is making use of good adjectives and good English. Okay, so I just wanted to emphasize on that. The next point is the resume. Okay, so the third document that is required in your grad school application is your resume preparation. Okay, so I'll take you through what constitutes a good resume. Now, basically, resume is your 30 to 60-second pitch to the university, right? And for masters, it can be 2 pages long, and for PhD, it can be 3 pages long with an extra page in PhD applications for your research work. Okay, so it's fine if your resume is 3 pages long if you're applying for PhDs, right? So what you should include in these 2 pages, because it's going to be a very concise resume. If it has to catch the attention of admissions committee, it has to be very concise, and it has to make sure that it has a good mixture of everything that you want to add, right? Basically, in your resume, you have to put the hook and the supporting cast of your SOP, right? So basically what you do is, if you have good grades, if you have good GPA, great, mention that, mention the courses that you've taken, the courses you've excelled at, mention your GPA. If your GPA is not so good, not a problem, you can mention your research work, you can mention your publications, conferences, patents. I'll just show you how a good resume looks like in my later slides. You can also mention projects, workshops, relevant courses, if you've done any internships, any extracurriculars also, you can mention that. Now, you look at the resume on the right, and now Dr. Sridhar Panat is our co-founder, and look at his resume. So he has mentioned his education. That is something, of course, you should mention. The next section is the publication section. Okay, so publication section only will exist if you have a good research profile, or if you have an existent research profile, right? That is why from the start of the webinar, I was focusing on having a research profile, right, in your profile. So that you can add it under the publication section, right? And you can also see that he has mentioned a link. So this link basically is a link to his portfolio website. And what he had done at the time of applications to MIT also, that he had written his resume, and he had mentioned, a link of his portfolio website at the end of the publication. Okay, so every time the admissions committee member is clicking on that link, it is taking them to his portfolio website, where it has dynamic content. He can modify the content within the 2 months that pass when the applications are viewed by the admissions committee. So that is a very big advantage that you get when you're applying to universities. If you have a portfolio website and you mention the link of the portfolio website here, you can make changes to your portfolio website, and the admissions committee can view the latest changes, right? So make sure you are mentioning the link of your portfolio website in your resume, right? It's very important again to have a publication section. Again, here I want to emphasize that it's fine if you don't have any publications. It's okay if you have upcoming publications. Okay, so it's fine if you are writing a research paper, if you are in the process of writing a research paper, or if you have submitted a review paper. So it's completely fine even if you have submitted it for publishing. It's completely fine. It's fine if your papers are not yet published, you can still add them to the publication section, right? So some key elements of an impactful resume are, like I said, portfolio website adds a very big impression on your profile, and you have to be very concise. You have to be very brief when you are writing your resume. Okay, it's very important that you don't write big paragraphs. It's important to keep it very brief. Mention your extracurriculars. If you have any teaching experiences, mention that. If you have any extracurriculars, exceptional extracurriculars, make sure to mention that, right? Like I said, highlight anything. So whatever your hook is, whatever your supporting cast in your resume is, you have to make sure that you include it in the resume in a very concise form, right? Some, again, resume do's and don'ts. Again, don't include personal information in your resume, like your marital status, gender, your license ID, even photo for that matter, because the admissions committee is very, very fair, and they are not going to bias their decision based on all these factors. So it's best not to include any personal information in your resume. Okay, again, the same rules that I told you for your SOP apply here. Don't get your resumes reviewed from random people. Just get it reviewed from seniors if you don't have professional mentorship, or from people who have gone through the process, right? Again, I want to emphasize on the thing that I mentioned earlier, that SOP, resume and LOR should tell the same story. They should be concise, coherent, and they should basically tell the same story. Now, the publication section in your resume should coincide with the letters of recommendation. It should also coincide with the statement of purpose. Okay, so these three documents are the heart of your profile, and it's very important that they are coherent. Any kind of discrepancy in these documents will create immediately a negative impression on the admissions committee. So whenever you're preparing these documents, make sure and double check these documents if there is no discrepancy. Okay, so that's completely unacceptable. I'll now talk about exams, GRE, TOEFL, and IELTS. So if you do plan to give a GRE, and if the university that you're applying to is requiring to give you GRE, you can prepare for it. It takes about 2 to 3 months to prepare for the GRE exam. It's basically a little bit more difficult than the TOEFL and IELTS, basically, which are proper English exams. So GRE is a bit difficult to prepare, right? And it will take more time of preparation. And we generally encourage students to spend that time on working on the research profile. Okay, but in case you decide to give GRE, these are the few things that we have prepared for you so that you can access this material. In addition, to that, you can also take a few mock tests from GregMat. So there is this website. We will mention the link also here. And on this particular website, you can take this has a particular subscription. It's very cheap, around $6-7 per month. So students use this a lot, and you can use this subscription to give mock tests also. This is how now you can prepare for your GRE exam. About the TOEFL exam, TOEFL basically has 4 sections: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. It's a 120 marks exam, and generally a score of above 105 is considered very good. Now, TOEFL is comparatively, or IELTS also, are comparatively very, very easy to prepare, and they will take just maybe 2-3 weeks of your preparation time. Okay, so for native English speakers, it's really very easy. If you are not a native English speaker, you might need to prepare for this exam a bit, but then again, TOEFL or IELTS are required by most universities, so it's a good idea to prepare and register for these exams and give these exams. Okay, because most universities require a TOEFL or IELTS score, basically to test your proficiency in English. So now we come to a very important point in the webinar, that is building your research profile. So first I'll take you through what is a research profile. Now, basically, all of undergrad students have projects. Okay, so you have a bunch of projects that you have done. You have internships here and there, and everybody has like a project done in their 3rd or 2nd year of their undergrad studies. But then everybody doesn't have a research profile. Okay, so these projects are of very low value when you mention those in your SOP or your resume. Okay, so projects don't really count. But then what counts? Okay, what is that thing that generally counts, if not projects? Okay, so I've mentioned these 5 parts in order of importance. Okay, so research projects, like undergrad projects, these are very low value because everybody has some kind of project on their profile, right? The next thing in the order of importance now, international research internships or local research internships also. If these internships have tangible research outcomes, then fine, it's considered to be of more value than the research projects. But then if not, internships don't hold that much value. Okay, because even if you mention an internship in your resume or your SOP, it's not going to really make an impression on the admissions committee. So coming to the right, the thing that I've mentioned on the right, these are tangible research outcomes, and they have the highest value when you've added them to your research profile under your publication section. Okay, so if you have any kind of publication or conference or patent in your profile, it's immediately going to uplift the value of your profile by 5 to 10 times. Okay, I'm not exaggerating. That's actually the case, right? So the resume on the left looks much better than the resume on the right. So, okay, so instead of having like multiple projects in your resume, it's very, very beneficial to have a single or 2 publications and a single conference in your resume. Okay, so that counts a lot. That is valued a lot, right? Like I mentioned earlier, you don't necessarily have to publish. Okay, so this is Dr. Raj's resume, and you can see that under the publication section he is mentioned in preparation. So this particular paper was in preparation when Raj was applying to MIT for his PhD. So this paper was not published. Of course it ended up getting published later on, but then when he was applying, he had written in his resume in preparation. Okay, so it's completely fine if you have a research or a review paper in preparation, and it's not necessarily important or not necessarily mandatory to publish it, right? So how can you have this publication section in your profile? Okay, it is either by writing a research paper or by writing a review paper and then submitting it to a preprint. Okay, I'll take you through what a research paper is and what a review paper is, right? So basically a research paper is a paper having new research outcomes, right? It has a novel research outcomes, but then again it is not very easy to have a research publication, right? But then saying that, it's also possible that the projects that you've taken in your undergrad, they can be converted into a research paper. Okay, and they can be published as a research paper, right? So that is one way of having a research paper publication. This is a research paper. Now what is a review paper? So review paper is basically a summary of 50 to 60 research papers written on a same topic. Okay, so if I am new to a particular field, and if I want a glimpse of that particular field, and if I want to read quickly what that field is about and what work has been done in that particular field, I will not read 60-70 research papers. I will just read that particular one or two review papers. Okay, so review papers are also highly respected and highly valued by the admissions committee, and many of our Videsh students who have written review papers and published review papers have basically gotten into top universities also. So review papers also have a lot of importance, and they don't necessarily focus on new research outcomes. Okay, so you can also think about writing a review paper if you are completely new to research. Now, what is a preprint? So basically, a preprint is something, you can submit it you can submit a paper to a preprint before submitting to an actual journal. So the reviewing system in a preprint is comparatively lenient, right? And something that I'm showing now on my screen is realistic timeline that we give our students when they are writing review papers. Okay, so when they are writing these papers, they need to follow this particular timeline so that they don't digress and they complete the papers within the required time frame. Okay, so this is just, I wanted to give you an idea of how we are helping our students divide each topic into subtopics, and again allot particular days and weeks for that depending upon their schedule. Okay, so like I said, literature review paper is also something that you can consider doing if you are new to research and you don't know where to start, or you don't want to necessarily get into the idea of publishing a research paper with new research outcomes, right? This is archive.org. So basically you can submit your papers to this preprint before submitting to an actual journal, right? Like I said, you can also convert your course projects into preprints. So we can help you to modify your projects into research and review papers, and then we can submit it to a preprint so that you will have papers to mention in your publication section in your profile. Okay, so now I come to the long-term mentorship program by Videsh. So I'm just going to now tell you how we are tying all these parts together by introducing the long-term mentorship program. Okay, so basically the vision of the LTM is to help you with two aspects. First aspect is building a strong research profile, and the second aspect is crafting a strong application. Okay, so these two parts comprise as the phase 1 and phase 2 of the LTM program. I just want to show you, some of the work that we have done with our students of how the research papers that when we are actually submitting them to journals look like. So on the left, you can see the initial crude version of the paper, and on the right, you can see a modified version. It looks very beautiful. It looks very professional. And this is something we actually submit to a journal. Okay. Now, I just also want to take you through a portfolio website also. So, like I mentioned before, portfolio website is basically, it takes into consideration everything, all the media, talks, publication, all the things that you can't mention in your SOP and resume, right? So, this is a glimpse of Dr. Raj's portfolio website, and he has very beautifully crafted his portfolio website. So, let me just show you his portfolio website. Just a minute. Yeah, so this is his portfolio website, and yeah. Yeah, so here you can see he has added media. So this kind of thing is not possible to add, in your SOP or resume. So it's very important that you have a publication section. So he has mentioned all his publications in his portfolio website. Now, the beauty of this portfolio website, like I mentioned before, it is dynamic. Okay, so even if you submit your applications in the month of November or December, and you have some changes coming after that, you can still modify that in this website, and the admissions committee generally review your applications in the month of February. Okay, so you have those 2 months where you can update your portfolio website, and they will see the dynamic content. Okay, so that's why I keep stressing on having your own portfolio website, right? Yeah, so when I talk about a coherent SOP, resume, and LOR, I talk about, these are the examples that I'm talking about. So this is Dr. Sridhar's LOR, SOP, and resume. I just want to make sure that, I emphasize on the point of no discrepancy allowed, because this is a point that can really, negatively reflect on your profile if the admissions committee find any sort of discrepancy in your these three documents. Okay, so make sure that you're checking every part of this of these three documents, and make sure that whatever publication section is there in your resume and your SOP, it is being endorsed in your LOR. Okay, so make sure that your professors or your managers are endorsing your publications, right? It's very important. Make a note of that. Yeah, so when I tell you about the research profile being important in selecting your universities, or if you remember, I talked about Dr. Raj mentioning, in the final pitch that he makes to the university, that he mentions about the research lab in the particular university. Okay, so I come again to the shortlisting part of the university, where I want to emphasize on the point to add another column at the end of, end of all the columns, that mentions the research lab. Okay, so here what you can do is you can research every university, every program that they are offering, every professor that you are interested in, and research labs that are coinciding with your work. Okay, so whatever work you've done, whatever paper you are writing, so if there is a professor who's doing a similar work, or if there is a work being done in a research lab that is coinciding with the work that you're doing, you can reach out to those professors as well. Okay, so it is very important to mention the name of the professor in every university and the link to the research lab. Okay, so in this master sheet of the university, if you're looking at it later on, you will exactly know that who do I reach to and how do I reach to. So okay, so when after you make your applications, you can mail these professors, and you can mail them saying that this is particular work that I've done. You can also share them the link to your portfolio website, and you can also share them your work or your research work that you're doing, and you can also mention that I would like to do similar work with you. And it usually helps. It ends up, some of our students also have gotten admits by these professors recommending the admissions committee that they would like these students to join the research lab. So it works in a very positive way, and it's a very good idea to reach out to the professors also after you submit your applications, right? So this is just a graphic, representation of how you should sell your profile. Generally we are likely selling it like this, and your actual profile looks much better than this, but then you should be, upselling your profile. Okay, you should actually be, like I said in the LORs also, you should be using strong adjectives, good use of English, and coherency, no discrepancy. So you should upsell your profile, because this is your only chance to get to be known by the admissions committee. And then if you're applying to top tier universities, you're competing with a lot of people all around the world. Okay, so they only make sure that the cream crowd gets selected, and for that you have to upsell your profile. Okay, it's very important that you remember this image. So yeah, so long-term mentorship for 2025 has started. I mentioned in brief what long-term mentorship is, but then now I will take you in detail of what the LTM comprises of. Okay. So the first phase of the LTM is to build a research profile. Now this generally takes a duration of 3 months. So considering now in the month of May, June, July, so you will have a research publication or a paper submitted by the end of July or beginning of August. Okay. So in that, we help you with, identifying a topic for your review paper, and then, helping you with literature study. If you're new to research, we also help you to, understand how to actually write a paper, comprising of the paper outline, like titles, figures, abstract, introduction, tables, etc. And then you proceed to write the paper manuscript. Okay. And then during this phase, you will be in continuous touch with our co-founders. So based on their feedback and based on their review, you will make changes to your manuscript. And this is how we will proceed to submitting your paper to a very reputed journal, right? So this is the first part of the long-term mentorship program. The second part is perfecting your application. So in this part, we basically focus on university shortlisting. So we help you select, like I mentioned before, three universities. So we help you to select 10 universities. We help you to draft your SOP based on the 4 pointers that I mentioned earlier. We help you to draft 3 letters of recommendation, and we also give you basic material and basic help with the GRE and TOEFL exams. We also help you with the resume preparation and the portfolio website building. Okay, so this is the phase 2 of the application process, and this generally takes about 1 to 2 months, whether you're applying for masters or for your PhDs, right? This is the Videsh profile assessment tool that we send out to our students once you've enrolled with us. So, if you have enrolled with us, for us to know how well versed you are with research, we send you this form that basically you have to tell about your experience in research and your work that you've done. Okay, so this is a form that we send out to you once you've enrolled with us. Now, these are some of the testimonials that I'm very proud to share with you, that we have helped students write up to 54 plus review papers in the past 2 years. And for this year also, it's counting. The people are coming with us, and people are coming with us with admissions and with, messages regarding a lot of admits that they've gotten into. Okay. We've helped them do individual and collaborative projects also. We've helped them write about 120 plus resumes. We've helped them develop portfolio websites also. And we have like our newsletters, our Discord community. So if you are a part of our long-term mentorship program, you will get an access to a Discord community, which will connect you to other peers. And that is how you can connect with one another and share your thoughts with one another. Okay. So, you're not in this alone, and you have your peers also. So that is how we connect the students as well. I just want to show you sample papers from 2023, some from 2024. Now, these papers were, written and published by students who had absolutely no experience in research. And it's very, proud for us to see the work that they've done. And, so it's not really, very difficult to start working on a research profile, but it is also something that is crucially important for your profile. Okay, so I just want to show you, to motivate you that if you're new to research and if you want to build a research profile, you can do it. Okay, it's not hard. These are another, some more sample papers from 2023. Now, I just want to show you a few testimonials that our students have given us, some messages that we've got from our students with accepts from CMU, Cornell, UC Chicago, Johns Hopkins, etc. So a lot of our students for this year also, we have been receiving a lot of messages. These are again a few testimonials, and our students have gotten into a lot of universities like these. Of course, there are a few more universities as well, but these are, universities that we are actually proud of, right? Again, a few testimonials from our students, so you can check out the testimonials from our website as well. So on our website we have a few video testimonials also, so you can check those out from the website as well, right? And if you enroll with us, we will help you with the following. So we will first of all help you with good problem statements for your research profile. We will help you to select a topic in such a way that it is very impactful and it is elevating your profile. Okay, so a very relevant topic is very important when you are writing a paper also. So we'll help you with that. Like I mentioned, we'll also help you to teach how to write a paper, right? And then a realistic timeline, that like the one I showed you in the Excel sheet also, we will draft a customized timeline for you, and that is how we will help you to build your application in such a way. And then we will also help you to identify journals and conferences that you can submit your papers to. Okay, so that is also something that we will help you in, right? Now this is just a glimpse of life at MIT. So these are photos of Dr. Sridhar when he went to MIT. So it's a very culturally diverse and a group of peers that you can learn a lot from. You have fun, you learn a lot, you do a lot of work. So this is just something that I have included to motivate you, right? So this is how life at MIT looks like. Now, we are at the end of our webinar, and if you have any questions, I think we have Dr. Raj and Dr. Rajat with us. So if they want to take any questions, I'll stop sharing my screen. And I just want to, yeah, before I come to the end, I just want to tell you that if you are interested in the long-term mentorship program, you can reach out to us by sending an email on hello@flyvidesh.com. So you can send out a mail to us, but just don't send one liners mentioning that I'm interested in LTM. Mention your work, mention your study. If you're a working student, working professional, mention what you're working in, preferably attach a resume. And when you're planning to apply for grad school, whether it is for masters or PhD, and then why you are interested in the long term mentorship. Okay, so send a very detailed mail to us, and then we will revert to you as soon as we can, but just don't send one liners. Okay, so this is how you can contact us if you have any questions, or if you're interested to know more about the long term mentorship program. Yeah, so this is something I wanted to share before I come to the end. I'll stop sharing my screen. Dr. Raj, Dr. Rajat, if you have to take any questions, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Radhika, for this great webinar. There is one question which many people are asking in the chat, and that is with respect to the importance of research profile. So this is one aspect which I also learned very late actually. When I applied to grad school, I had spent 2 years developing my research profile at my undergraduate college, and that had the most significant impact on my application. I eventually got into 8 universities, including MIT and Stanford. And when I went to MIT, I saw that all the people who were accepted along with me, they all had a good research profile. So then I was thinking that why was this not told to me before when I was in undergraduate? I accidentally built a research profile without any intention of ever using it for grad school, but it helped me. So the main reason we conduct such webinars is to transfer this knowledge to you that uh, many people focus on GPA, GRE, etc. But after a certain point, GPA is fixed. So if you enter your sixth semester, seventh semester, or if you graduate from college, GPA does not improve. But the thing which you have in your control is building your research profile. And having one first author publication helps so much. I only had one first author publication, and my rank in my class was around 9 or 10. But none of the other people got into top universities, and only I did because of the research profile. So that is one thing which I would like to mention. If Dr. Rajat wants to take any questions, I would.
Yeah, there is a question in the chat regarding how strong does the research profile have to be for master's program? And there were a few other questions regarding the impact of whether you are a first author, second author, or third author. So basically, when you are applying for master's or PhD, not a lot of students have a publication section in their resume. So more than the order of authorship, it matters whether you have a research paper at least submitted to a journal. Even that counts. For example, for both Raj and me, when we submitted our applications by December, we had just submitted our papers to the journal, and then in the month of February, the papers got accepted. So by the time the applications or the admissions committee viewed our profile, maybe the papers might not have gotten accepted if they checked our profile in January. But what we did was that in our LOR, the professor had mentioned that I have actually worked with this student and I have worked on this specific paper. And in the portfolio website, we had uploaded a draft of the paper uh, with the permission of the professor. So that was a proof that we have actually written the paper. So yeah, so the main outcome is that more than the number of papers, more than the authorship order, you should first focus on writing on research paper, and the first paper that everyone writes is largely a derivative. After that, you start to get a hang of the field and what are the gaps in the field, and you can then try to publish novel research. But even if the initial research is very derivative, it's completely fine. No one attains perfection in their first paper, so it's okay if your results are inspired from some other paper, and you're just maybe adding one parameter, understanding the role of the parameter on the results, etc. So that's also completely fine. Let me see if there are any other. Yeah, regarding GPA. So yes, GPA does matter actually. So a GPA above 9 is considered to be very good. But having said that, for the last couple of years, we have guided a lot of students who had GPA somewhere around 8, 8.5, or even less than that. And then we compensated that with a good research profile. So they got admits from good universities. So there are ways to offset GPA. But uh, in case you have time, you are in your college and you have time to increase your GPA, then I would say focus on that. If you do not have time, if you have already graduated and you're working in industry, then you can't focus on GPA that much. But research profile is always within your control, so you can definitely focus on improving that. Okay, I think we have answered most of the questions. So there is a email mentioned in the chat, hello@flywithage.com. If anyone is interested in the LTM program, this is high time to start building your research profile. And please email us on this email address, and we will definitely get back to you. Let me take one last question asked by Sharwani. In programs, is it better to apply early with a decent profile or later with a strong? Uh, it depends actually. If you are ready to wait until your profile is built, that's good. But it doesn't take much time to build a profile. We have guided students where in 4 5 months we build their profile to a decent level and directly apply. And waiting doesn't guarantee that you will get admissions later as well. So what I'll advise is that build your research profile and then try applying, see what happens in the first year, and then take that feedback and again reapply the next year. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and thank you, Radhika, for the excellent webinar. All the
Thank you,
best, everyone. Thank you.
everyone. Bye. All the best.